Welcome to this new video on latest important question and answers for the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam. The full set of Q&A is available to download from our website, shapingpixel.com. Before we start the Q&A, we request you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. Let's jump into the questions now.
Question number 5. Which option is a customer responsibility when using Amazon DynamoDB under the AWS Shared Responsibility model? Option A. Physical security of DynamoDB. Option B. Patching of DynamoDB. Option C. Access to DynamoDB tables. And option D. Encryption of data at rest in DynamoDB. So the right answer here is option C. Access to DynamoDB tables. Under the AWS Shared Responsibility model, controlling and managing access to AWS services, including Amazon DynamoDB tables, is a customer responsibility, while AWS take care of the physical infrastructure, patching, and encryption of data at rest in DynamoDB. Customers are responsible for setting up proper access controls, authentication, and authorization to protect their data and resources. Question number 9. Which AWS services or tools can identify resizing opportunities for Amazon EC2 instances? Choose 2. And the options are AWS Cost Explorer, AWS Building Conductor, Amazon Code Guru, Amazon SageMaker, AWS Compute Optimizer. So the right answer here is option A and option E. AWS Cost Explorer and AWS Compute Optimizer. Question number 15. A global company wants to migrate its third-party applications to the AWS cloud. The company wants help from a global team of experts to complete the migration faster and more reliable in accordance with AWS internal best practices. Which AWS service or resource will meet these requirements? And the options are AWS Support, AWS Professional Services, AWS Launch Wizard, AWS Managed Services. So the right answer here is option B, AWS Professional Services. AWS Partner Network APN. Consulting partners help customers design, architect, build, migrate, and manage workloads and applications on Amazon Web Services. Question number 19. Which AWS service provides the ability to manage infrastructure as code? And the options are AWS Code Pipeline, AWS Code Deploy, AWS Direct Connect, AWS Cloud Formation. So the right answer here is option D, AWS Cloud Formation. AWS Cloud Formation lets you model, provision, and manage AWS and third-party resources by treating infrastructure as code. Question number 23. A company wants to protect its AWS Cloud Formation systems and assets while performing risk assessment and mitigation tasks. Which pillar of the AWS well-architected framework is supported by these goals? And the options are reliability, security, operational excellence, performance efficiency. So the right answer here is option B, security. So this is conclusion of security pillar. Help you build and operate architectures that protect information, systems and assets while delivering business value. Question number 27. A company wants to receive a notification when a specific AWS cost threshold is reached. Which AWS services or tools can the company use to meet these requirements? Choose two. The options are Amazon Simple Queue Service, AWS Budgets, Cost Explorer, Amazon CloudWatch, AWS Cost and Usage Report. So the right answer here is option B and option D. AWS Budgets and Amazon CloudWatch. Question number 31. Which AWS service or feature is used to send both text and email messages from distributed applications? Option A, Amazon Simple Notification Service. Option B, Amazon Simple Email Service. Option C, Amazon CloudWatch Alerts. And option D, Amazon Simple Queue Service. So the right answer here is option A, Amazon Simple Notification Service. Amazon Simple Notification Service sends notifications two ways, A to A and A to B. A to A provides high throughput, push-based, many-to-many messaging between distributed systems, microservices, and event-driven serverless applications. These applications include Amazon Simple Queue Service, Amazon Kinesis Data Firehose, AWS Lambda, and other HTTPS endpoints. A to B functionality lets you send messages to your customers with SMS text, push notifications, and email. Question number 35. A company needs to block SQL injection attacks. Which AWS service or feature can meet these requirements? And the options are AWS WAF, AWS Shield, Network ACLs, Security Groups. So the right answer here is option A, AWS WAF. AWS WAF helps you protect against common web exploits and bots that can affect availability, compromise security, or consume excessive resources. Question number 39. A company is setting up AWS identity and access management on an AWS account. Which recommendation complies with IAM security best practices? Option A, use the account root user access keys for administrative tasks. Option B, grant broad permissions so that all company employees can access the resources they need. Option C, turn on multi-factor authentication for added security during the login process. Option D, avoid rotating credentials to prevent issues in production applications. So the right answer here is option C. Enabling multi-factor authentication for user accounts, especially for users with administrative or high privilege access, is a crucial security best practice. MFA adds an additional layer of security by requiring users to provide two or more verification factors. Something they know, like a password, or something they have, like a temporary MFA code from a hardware token or mobile before gaining access. This significantly reduces the risk of unauthorized access, even if login credentials are compromised. Question number 43. A company has 5 terabyte of data stored in Amazon S3. The company plans to occasionally run queries on the data for analysis. Which AWS service should the company use to run these queries in the most cost-effective manner? And the following options are Amazon Redshift, Amazon Athena, Amazon Kinesis, Amazon RDS. So the right answer here is option B, Amazon Athena. Amazon Athena is a serverless interactive analytics service built on open source framework supporting open table and file formats. Athena provides a simplified, flexible way to analyze petabytes of data where it lives. Analyze data or build applications from an Amazon simple storage service, data lake, and 30 data sources, including on-premises data sources or other cloud systems using SQL or Python. Athena is built on open source Trino and Presto engines and Apache Spark frameworks, with no provisioning or configuration effort required. Question number 47. A company wants to migrate its on-premises relational databases to the AWS cloud. The company wants to use infrastructure as close to its current geographical location as possible. Which AWS service or resource should the company use to select its Amazon RDS deployment area? And the options are Amazon Connect, AWS Wavelength, AWS Regions, AWS Direct Connect. So the right answer here is option C, AWS Regions. AWS Connect, Customer Service Cloud Contact Center. AWS Wavelength, 5G devices. AWS Direct Connect, dedicated network connection, bypass public network. Question number 51. Which of the following is a software development framework that a company can use to define cloud resources as code and provision the resources through AWS Cloud Formation? Options are AWS CLI, AWS Developer Center, AWS Cloud Development Kit, AWS CodeStar. So the right answer here is option C, AWS Cloud Development Kit. AWS CDK is a software development framework that enables developers to define infrastructure as code using familiar programming languages like TypeScript, Python, Java, C#, and more. With AWS CDK, you can define cloud resources, their relationships, and provisioning logic in your preferred programming language. AWS CDK also generates cloud formation templates based on your code, making it easier to manage and deploy infrastructure resources in AWS. Question number 55. To reduce cost, a company is planning to migrate a NoSQL database to AWS. Which AWS service is fully managed and can automatically scale throughput capacity to meet database workload demands? And the options are Amazon Redshift, Amazon Aurora, Amazon DynamoDB, Amazon RDS. So the right answer here is option C, Amazon DynamoDB. Amazon DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database service that provides fast and predictable performance with seamless scalability. Question number 59. Which of the following services can be used to block network traffic to an instance? Choose two. The options are security groups, Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, Flow Logs, Network ACLs, Amazon CloudWatch, AWS Cloud Trial. So the right answer here is option A and option C, security groups and network ACLs. Security groups are stateful firewalls that control inbound and outbound traffic at the instance level. You can configure security groups to allow or deny specific types of network traffic to and from your instances. Network ACLs are stateless firewalls that control traffic at the subnet level. Network ACLs define rules to allow or deny traffic based on source and destination IP addresses, ports, and protocols. Question number 63. Which AWS service can run a managed PostgreSQL database that provides online transaction processing OLTP? And the options are Amazon DynamoDB, Amazon Athena, Amazon RDS, Amazon EMR. So the right answer here is option C, Amazon RDS. Amazon RDS supports various database engines including PostgreSQL and offers a managed database service suitable for OLTP workloads. With Amazon RDS for PostgreSQL, you can easily set up, operate, and scale a PostgreSQL database without the administrative overhead of managing the infrastructure. Question number 67. Which AWS services or features provide disaster recovery solutions for Amazon EC2 instances? Choose two. And the options are EC2 reserved instances, EC2 Amazon machine images, Amazon Elastic Block Store snapshots, AWS Shield, Amazon Guard Duty. So the right answer here is option B and option C. EC2 Amazon machine images and Amazon Elastic Block Store snapshots. Amazon machine images are used to create backups of EC2 instances, and they can be used to launch replacement instances in the event of a disaster or data loss. AMIs are essential for creating recovery points for your EC2 instances. EBS snapshots allow you to create point-in-time backups for your EBS volumes. These snapshots can be used to restore data or create new EBS volumes, making them a key component of disaster recovery for EC2 instances. Question number 71. Which AWS service is used to provide encryption for Amazon EBS? And the options are AWS Certificate Manager, AWS Systems Manager, AWS KMS, AWS Config. So the right answer here is option C, AWS KMS. AWS Key Management Service lets you create, manage, and control cryptographic keys across your applications and AWS services. Question number 75. A developer needs to maintain a development environment infrastructure and a production environment infrastructure in a repeatable fashion. Which AWS service should the developer use to meet these requirements? And the options are AWS Ground Station, AWS Shield, AWS IoT Device Defender, and AWS Cloud Formation. So the right answer here is option D, AWS Cloud Formation. AWS Cloud Formation lets you model, provision, and manage AWS and third-party resources by treating infrastructure as code. Question number 79. What are the benefits of consolidated billing for AWS Cloud Services? Choose two. Option A, volume discounts. Option B, a minimal additional fee for use. Option C, one bill for multiple accounts. Option D, installment payment option. And option E, custom cost usage budget creation. So the right answer here is option A and option C. Consolidated billing has the following benefits. One bill, you get one bill for multiple accounts, easy tracking. You can track the charges across multiple accounts and download the combined cost and usage data. Combined usage, you can combine the usage across all accounts in the organization to share the volume pricing discounts, reserved instances discounts, and savings plans. These can result in a lower charge for your project, department, or company than with individual standalone accounts. For more information, see volume discounts, no extra fee. Consolidated billing is offered at no additional cost. So question number 83. Which AWS service or feature improves network performance by sending traffic through the AWS worldwide network infrastructure? And the options are route table, AWS Transit Gateway, AWS Global Accelerator, Amazon VPC. So the right answer here is option C, AWS Global Accelerator. Improve application availability, performance, and security using the AWS Global Network. Question number 89. Which tool should a developer use to integrate AWS service feature directly into an application? And the options are AWS Software Development Kit, AWS Code Deploy, AWS Lambda, AWS Batch. So the right answer here is option A, AWS Software Development Kit. Question number 95. Which task is the responsibility of AWS when using AWS services? Option A, management of IAM user permissions. Option B, creation of security group rules for outbound access. Option C, maintenance of physical and environmental controls. Option D, application of Amazon EC2 operating system patches. So the right answer here is option C, maintaining of physical and environmental controls. AWS is responsible for maintaining the physical and environmental controls of its data centers, including the security and reliability of the infrastructure. These includes aspects such as power, cooling, and physical security. Question number 100. Which tasks are the customer's responsibility? According to the AWS shared responsibility model, choose two. And the options are establish the global infrastructure. Option B, perform client-side data encryption. Option C, configure IAM credential. Option D, secure edge locations. Option E, patch Amazon RDS DB instances. So the right answer here is option B and option C. Question number 105. What are the possible uses of AWS edge locations? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, hosting applications. Option B, delivering content closer to users. Option C, running NoSQL database caching services. Option D, reducing traffic on the service server by caching responses. Option E, sending notification messages to end users. So the right answer is option B, delivering content closer to user. And option D, reducing traffic on the server by caching responses. So CloudFront delivers your content through a worldwide network of data centers called edge locations. When a user requests content that you are serving with CloudFront, the user is routed to the edge location that provides the lowest latency so that content is delivered with the best possible performance. Question number 109. Which of the following are AWS obligations according to the AWS shared responsibility model? And we have 5 options. Option A, network infrastructure and virtualization of infrastructure. Option B, security of application data. Option C, guest operating systems. Option D, physical security of hardware. And option E, credentials and policies. So the right answers are option A, network infrastructure and virtualization of infrastructure, and option D, physical security of hardware. So physical security is one area where the AWS shared responsibility model comes into play. AWS is responsible for protecting security of the cloud, which includes the infrastructure of hardware, software, networking, and facilities that run AWS services. Question number 114. Which AWS shared responsibility controls are shared? And we have 5 options. Option A, awareness and training. Option B, patching of Amazon RDS. Option C, configuration management. Option D, physical and environmental controls. Option E, service and communications protection or security. So the right answer here is option A, awareness and training, and option C, configuration management. So shared controls, controls which apply to both the infrastructure layer and customer layers, but in completely separate contexts or perspectives. In a shared control, AWS provides the requirements for the infrastructure and the customers must provide their own control implementation within their use of AWS services. Examples include patch management. AWS is responsible for patching and fixing flaws within the infrastructure, but customers are responsible for patching their guest OS and applications. Configuration management. AWS maintains the configuration of its infrastructure devices, but a customer is responsible for configuring their own guest operating systems, databases, and applications. Awareness and training. AWS trains AWS employees, but a customer must train their own employees. Question number 119. Which AWS products anticipate future AWS expenses automatically? And we have 4 options. Option A, AWS Support Center. Option B, AWS Total Cost of Ownership Calculator. Option C, AWS Simple Monthly Calculator. And option D, Cost Explorer. So the right answer here is option D, Cost Explorer. So AWS Cost Explorer has an easy to use interface that lets you visualize, understand, and manage your AWS cost and usage over time. Question number 125. To achieve high availability, how many availability zones should competing resources be provided across? And we have 4 options. Option A minimum of 1. Option B, a minimum of 2. Or option C, a minimum of 3. And option D, a minimum of 4 or more. So the right answer is option B, a minimum of 2. So high availability requires at least 2 availability zones. The idea is that only one zone will go down at a time. The probable backhoe cutting power and network cables. Since Amazon isolates the data center for each availability zone, the backhoe won't take out more than one availability zone. Question number 130. Which AWS service should be used to monitor Amazon EC2 instances for CPU and network utilization? And we have 4 options. Option A, Amazon Inspector. Option B, AWS Cloud Trial. Option C, Amazon CloudWatch. And option D, AWS Config. So the right answer here is option C, Amazon CloudWatch. So using Amazon CloudWatch, which is a monitoring service provided by AWS, CloudWatch provides metrics and logs for ECS, such as CPU and memory usage for the container instances, the number of tasks and services running, and the number of containers that are being deployed or stopped. Question number 135. A user wants to deploy a service to the AWS cloud by using infrastructure as a code principles. Which AWS service can be used to meet this requirement? And we have 4 options. Option A, AWS System Manager. Option B, AWS Cloud Formation. Option C, AWS Code Commit. And option D, AWS Config. So the right answer is option B, AWS Cloud Formation. So use AWS Cloud Formation templates. AWS Cloud Formation is a service that helps you model and set up your Amazon Web Services resources, making it easier to manage and automate your infrastructure. With Cloud Formation, you can define your infrastructure as a code using templates written in JSON or YAML. Question number 141. Which IT controls do AWS and the customer share according to the AWS share responsibility model? And we have 5 options. Option A, physical and environmental controls. Option B, patch management. Option C, cloud awareness and training. Option D, zone security. Option E, application data encryption. So the right answer is option B, patch management, and option C, cloud awareness and training. So examples of shared controls include patch management. AWS is responsible for patching and fixing flaws within the infrastructure, but customers are responsible for patching their guest OS and applications. Configuration management. AWS maintains the configuration of its infrastructure devices, but the customer is responsible for configuring their own guest operating system, database, and applications. Awareness and training. AWS trains AWS employees, but a customer must train their own employees. Question number 147. What are the AWS Cloud's advantages? Select two. And we have 5 options. Option A, fixed rate monthly cost. Option B, no need to guess capacity requirements. Option C, increased speed to market. Option D, increased upfront capital expenditure. Option E, physical access to cloud data centers. So the right answer here is option B, no need to guess capacity requirements, and option C, increased speed to market. So eliminating guessing on your infrastructure capacity needs. When you make a capacity decision prior to deploying an application, you often end up either sitting on expensive idle resources or dealing with limited capacity. With cloud computing, these problems go away. You can access as much as little capacity as you need and scale up and down as required with only a few minutes notice. In a cloud computing environment, new IT resources are only a click away, which means that you reduce the time to make those resources available to your developers from works to just minutes. This results in a dramatic increase in agility for the organization, since the cost and time it takes to experiment and develop is significantly lower. Question number 154. How do Amazon's massive economies of scale help customers? And we have 4 options. Option A, periodic price reductions as a result of Amazon's operational efficiencies. Option B, new Amazon EC2 instances types providing the latest hardware. Option C, ability to scale up and down when needed. Option D, increased reliability in the underlying hardware of Amazon EC2 instances. So the right answer here is option A, periodic price reduction as a result of Amazon's operational efficiencies. So benefit from massive economy of scale. By using cloud computing, you can achieve a lower variable cost than you can get on your own. Because usage from hundreds of thousands of customers is aggregated in the cloud, providers such as AWS can achieve higher economy of scale, which translates into lower pay-as-you-go pricing. Question number 161. Which activity is entirely the user's responsibility while executing workload on AWS? And we have 4 options. Option A, patching the infrastructure components. Option B, implementing controls to route application traffic. Option C, maintaining physical and environmental control. Option D, maintaining the underlying infrastructure component. So the right answer here is option B, implementing controls to route application traffic. So customer responsibility will be determined by the AWS cloud services that a customer selects. This determines the amount of configuration work the customer must perform as a part of their security responsibility. For example, a service such as Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud is categorized as infrastructure as a service and as such requires the customers to perform all the necessary security configurations and management tasks. Customers that deploy an Amazon EC2 instance are responsible for management of the guest operating system, any application software or utilities installed by the customer on the instance, and the configuration of the AWS provided firewall. On each instance, for abstracted services such as Amazon S3 and Amazon DynamoDB, AWS operates the infrastructure layer, the operating system and platforms, and customer access the endpoint to store and retrieve data. Customers are responsible for managing the data, classifying their assets, and using IAM tools to apply the appropriate permissions. Question number 168. Which AWS service or feature checks access policies and offers actionable recommendations to help users set secure and functional policies? And we have four options. Option A, AWS System Manager. Option B, AWS IAM Access Analyzer. Option C, AWS Trusted Advisor. And option D, Amazon Guard Duty. So the right answer here is option B, AWS IAM Access Analyzer. So IAM Access Analyzer generates a finding for each instance of a resource-based policy that grants access to a resource within your zone of trust to a principal that is not within your zone of trust. IAM Access Analyzer reports a security warning when your policy grants access to pass any role to any service, which is overly permissive. The security warning includes a recommendation that you scope down the permissions to pass specific roles instead. Question number 176. Which AWS service enables expense control across numerous AWS accounts effectively? And we have four options. Option A, AWS Organizations. Option B, AWS Trusted Advisor. Option C, AWS Direct Connect. Option D, Amazon Connect. So the right answer here is option A, AWS Organizations. AWS Organization provides you with the capability to centrally manage and govern your cloud environment. You can manage and organize your accounts under a single bill, set central policies and configurations requirements for your entire organization, create custom permissions or capabilities within the organization, and delegate responsibilities to other accounts so they can manage on behalf of the organization. In addition, AWS Organization is integrated with other AWS services, so you can define central configurations, security mechanisms, audit requirements, and resource sharing across accounts in your organization. Question number 183. What are the advantages of AWS Cloud Service Billing Consolidation? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, volume discounts. Option B, a minimal additional fee for use. Option C, one bill for multiple accounts. Option D, installment payment option. And option E, custom cost and usage budget creation. So the right answer here is option A, volume discounts, and option C, one bill for multiple accounts. So consolidated billing has the following benefits. One bill, you get one bill for multiple accounts. Easy tracking, you can track the charges across multiple accounts and download the combined cost and usage data. Combined usage, you can combine the usage across all accounts in the organization to share the volume pricing discounts, reserved instant discounts, and saving plans. These can result in a lower charge for your project, department, or company than with individual standalone accounts. So no extra fee, consolidated billing is offered at no additional cost. Question number 190. A load balancer elastic enables online traffic to be distributed across multiple. And we have four options. Option A, AWS regions. Option B, availability zones. Option C, dedicated hosts. And option D, Amazon S3 buckets. So the right answer here is option B, availability zones. So AWS Elastic Load Balancing distributes incoming application traffic automatically across multiple targets such as containers, EC2 instances, and IP addresses in one or more availability zones. These distributes and balances how front-end traffic reaches back-end servers and increase the fault tolerance and availability of user applications. Question number 197. A company wants to convert video files and audio files from their source format into a format that will play on smartphones, tablets, and web servers. Which AWS service will meet this requirement? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Elastic Transcoder. Option B, Amazon Comprehend. Option C, AWS Glue. Option D, Amazon Recognition. So the right answer here is option A, Amazon Elastic Transcoder. Amazon Elastic Transcoder lets you convert media files that you have stored in Amazon Simple Storage Service into media files in the format required by consumer playback devices. For example, you can convert large, high-quality digital media files into formats that users can play back on mobile devices, tablets, web browsers, and connected televisions. Question number 204. Which features are available to users while using AWS KMS? And we have four options. Option A, create and manage AWS access keys for the AWS account root user. Option B, create and manage AWS access keys for an AWS account IAM user. Option C, create and manage keys for encryption and decryption of data. Option D, create and manage keys for multi-factor authentication. So the right answer here is option C, create and manage keys for encryption and decryption of data. AWS Key Management Service is an encryption and key management service scaled for the cloud. AWS KMS keys and functionalities are used by other AWS services, and you can use them to protect data in your AWS in your own applications that use AWS. Question number 211. A business wishes to link AWS to its corporate network through a private network connection. Which Amazon Web Services or functionality will satisfy this requirement? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Connect. Option B, Amazon Route 53. Option C, AWS Direct Connect. And option D, VPC peering. So the right answer here is option C, AWS Direct Connect. So AWS Direct Connect is a cloud service solution that makes it easy to establish a dedicated network connection from your premises to AWS. Using AWS Direct Connect, you can establish private connectivity between AWS and your data center, office, or colocation environment, which in many cases can reduce your network costs, increase bandwidth, throughput, and provide a more consistent network experience than internet-based connections. Question number 218. Which AWS cloud service gives tips on how to optimize an AWS account's performance? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Inspector. Option B, AWS Trusted Advisor. Option C, Amazon CloudWatch. And option D, AWS Cloud Trial. So the right answer here is option B. AWS Trusted Advisor. AWS Trusted Advisor provides recommendations that help you follow AWS best practices. Trusted Advisor evaluates your accounts by using checks. These checks identify ways to optimize your AWS infrastructure, improve security and performance, reduce cost, and monitor service quotas. Question number 225. A business wishes to transfer its apps to an AWS VPC. These apps will need access to resources located on premises. Which combination of activities will allow the business to achieve these objectives? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, use the AWS Service Catalog to identify a list of on-premises resources that can be migrated. Option B, build a VPN connection between an on-premises devices and a virtual private gateway in the new VPC. Option C, use Amazon Athena to query data from the on-premises database servers. Option D, connect the company's on-premises data center to AWS using AWS Direct Connect. Option E, leverage Amazon CloudFront to restrict access to static web content provided through the company's on-premises web server. So the right answer here is option B, build a VPN connection between an on-premises device and a virtual private gateway in the new VPC. And option D, connect the company's on-premises data center to AWS using AWS Direct Connect. So AWS Direct Connect, link your AWS and on-premises network to build applications that span environments without compromising performance. Question number 232. What time-saving benefits can Amazon Recognition provide? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Recognition provides automatic watermarking of images. Option B, Amazon Recognition provides automatic detection of objects appearing in pictures. Option C, Amazon Recognition provides the ability to resize millions of images automatically. Option D, Amazon Recognition uses Amazon Mechanical Turk to allow humans to bid on object detection jobs. So the right answer here is option B, Amazon Recognition provides automatic detection of objects appearing in pictures. Recognition image is an image recognition service that detects objects, scenes, and faces, extracts text, recognizes celebrities, and identifies inappropriate content in image. It also allows you to search and compare faces. Recognition image is based on the same proven, highly scalable deep learning technology developed by Amazon computer vision scientists to analyze billions of images daily for prime photos. Question number 238. What is an example of a cloud-based application that is decoupled and scalable? And we have four options. Option A, mail and log application that runs on a single Amazon EC2 instance. Option B, a web page that is hosted on Amazon S3 and uses AWS Lambda to update an Amazon DynamoDB database. Option C, an application load balancer, web server, and database server that supports a monolithic application. Option D, a legacy database server that is running on the maximum instance size supported by its license. So the right answer here is option B, a web page that is hosted on Amazon S3 and uses AWS Lambda to update an Amazon DynamoDB database. Many applications start to grow in complexity as they mature, making it harder for developers to maintain code or add new features. These lead to monolithic applications where developer must know more about the entire architecture to make changes. Typically, these cause code to become more fragile and the rate of development slows down. Question number 245. A business must transmit time-sensitive communication to a large number of subscribers using a push technique. Which Amazon Web Services service should the business use? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Kinesis. Option B, Amazon MQ. Option C, Amazon Simple Queue Service. Option D, Amazon Simple Notification Service. So the right answer here is option D, Amazon Simple Notification Service. So Amazon SNS allow application to send time critical messages to multiple subscribers through a push mechanism. Question number 252. Which of the following is a NoSQL database service that is both quick and dependable? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Redshift. Option B, Amazon RDS. Option C, Amazon DynamoDB. And option D, Amazon S3. So the right answer here is option C, Amazon DynamoDB. So Amazon DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database service that provides fast and predictable performance with seamless scalability. So question number 258. Which of the following are advantages of using the AWS cloud to host infrastructure? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, there are no upfront commitments. Option B, AWS manages all security in the cloud. Option C, users have the ability to provision resources on demand. Option D, users have access to free and unlimited storage. Option E, users have control over the physical infrastructure. So the right answer here is option A, there are no upfront commitments. And option C, users have the ability to provision resources on demand. The no upfront option does not require any upfront payment, and your commitment will be charged purely on a monthly basis. Savings plans offer significant savings over on demand, just like EC2 RIs, but automatically reduce your bills on compute usage across any AWS region even as usage changes. So question number 264. A company has a physical tape library to store data backups. The tape library is running out of space. The company needs to extend the tape library's capacity to the AWS cloud. Which AWS service should the company use to meet this requirement? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Elastic Block Store. Option B, Amazon S3. Option C, Amazon Elastic File System. And option D, AWS Storage Gateway. So the right answer here is option D, AWS Storage Gateway. So AWS Storage Gateway is a service that can be used to extend the tape library's capacity to the AWS cloud. So AWS Storage Gateway is a hybrid storage service that allows users to connect their on-premises data centers to the AWS cloud. It provides a range of storage options including file-based, block-based, and tape-based storage, which can be used to store data backups and other types of data. Question number 270. Which AWS service can be used to turn text into lifelike speech? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Polly. Option B, Amazon Kendra. Option C, Amazon Recognition. Option D, Amazon Connect. So the right answer here is option A, Amazon Polly. So Amazon Polly is a service that can be used to turn text into lifelike speech. Amazon Polly uses advanced deep learning technologies to synthesize speech that sounds naturally and lifelike, allowing users to convert written content into spoken language. Question number 278. A company wants to ensure that two Amazon EC2 instances are in separate data centers with minimal communication latency between the data centers. How can the company meet these requirements? And we have four options. Option A, place the EC2 instances in two separate AWS regions connected with a VPC peering connection. Option B, place the EC2 instances in two separate availability zones within the same AWS region. Option C, place one EC2 instance on premises and other in an AWS region, then connect them by using an AWS VPN connection. Option D, place both EC2 instances in a placement group for dedicated bandwidth. So the right answer here is option B, place the EC2 instances in two separate availability zones within the same AWS region. Easily deploy EC2 instances in separate availability zones within the same region, which is enough to meet the SLA for service credits from outages. If you haven't already, you can see which zone each instance is assigned to by viewing the details of each of the instance page. Question number 283. How might an AWS client implement common access restrictions to a big group of users easily? And we have four options. Option A, apply an IAM policy to an IAM group. Option B, apply an IAM policy to an IAM role. Option C, apply the same IAM policy to all IAM users with access to the same workload. Option D, apply an IAM policy to an Amazon Cognito user pool. So the right answer here is option A, apply an IAM policy to an IAM group. So instead of defining permissions for individual IAM users, it's usually more convenient to create groups that relate to job functions. Next, define the relevant permissions for each group. Finally, assign IAM users to those groups. All the users in an IAM group inherit the permissions assigned to the group. That way, you can make changes for everyone in a group in just one place. As people move around in your company, you can simply change what IAM group their IAM user belongs to. Question number 289. A company is operating several factories where it builds products. The company needs the ability to process data, store data, and run applications with local system interdependencies that require low latency. Which AWS service should the company use to meet these requirements? And we have four options. Option A, AWS IoT Greengrass. Option B, AWS Lambda. Option C, AWS Outpost. And option D, AWS Snowball Edge. So the right answer here is option C, AWS Outposts. Outpost is designed to provide the same APIs, control plane, and hardware as the AWS cloud, but with the ability to run workloads on premises. These can be useful for applications that require low latency or local system interdependencies, as it allows you to keep your data and applications close to your users and process. Question number 295. A company has a workload that will run continuously for 1 year. The workload cannot tolerate service interruptions. Which Amazon EC2 purchasing option will be most cost effective? And we have four options. Option A, all upfront reserved instances. Option B, partial upfront reserved instances. Option C, dedicated instances. And option D, on-demand instances. So the right answer is option A, all upfront reserved instances. With all upfront options, you pay for the entire reserved instance term with the one upfront payment. This option provides you with the largest discount compared to on-demand instance pricing. Question number 302. Which of the following are advantages of Amazon Web Services cloud computing platform? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, unlimited uptime. Option B, elasticity. Option C, agility. Option D, colocation. And option E, capital expenses. So the right answer here is option B, elasticity. And option C, agility. The most celebrated benefit of AWS Cloud is elasticity, since you can expand the services when you experience more traffic. Agile developments in AWS Cloud through strategies are day by day becoming more established within the enterprise across the world. With so much improvement and call for optimization in the cloud, it is necessary that these strategies get established from the ground up within the organization. It is highly important as already enterprises have a lot of bequest, politics and hierarchies which acts as barriers in these businesses. Question number 308. The continuous lowering in AWS cloud price is a result of the following. And we have four options. Option A, pay-as-you-go pricing. Option B, the AWS global infrastructure. Option C, economies of scale. And option D, reserved storage pricing. So the right answer here is option C, economies of scale. More customer leads to higher AWS usage, which leads to more infrastructure. The economies of scale effects occurs because cost can now be spread over a larger number of customers. The infrastructure becomes cheaper, prices can be reduced, and new customer benefits from the lower prices. Question number 315. Which AWS services are globally specified rather than regionally defined? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, Amazon Route 53. Option B, Amazon EC2. Option C, Amazon S3. Option D, Amazon CloudFront. And option E, Amazon DynamoDB. So the right answer here is option A, Amazon Route 53. And option D, Amazon CloudFront. So AWS provides a lot of services, and these services are either global, regional, or specific to the availability zone and cannot be accessed outside. Most of the AWS managed services are regional based services except for IAM, Route 53, CloudFront, WAF, etc. Question number 316. Currently, a company's online program is highly dependent on underlying components, which means that when one component fails, the whole website crashes. Which AWS cloud design concept is most appropriate for resolving the present design issue? And we have four options. Option A, implementing elasticity, enabling the application to scale up or scale down as demand changes. Option B, enabling several EC2 instances to run in parallel to achieve better performance. Option C, focusing on decoupling components by isolating them and ensuring individual components can function when other components fail. And option D, doubling EC2 computing resources to increase system fault tolerance. So the right answer here is option C, focusing on decoupling components by isolating them and ensuring individual components can function when other components fail. Question number 317. A user must locate, categorize, and safeguard sensitive data stored in Amazon S3 automatically. Which AWS service satisfies these criteria? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Inspector. Option B, Amazon Mackie. Option C, Amazon Guard Duty. And option D, AWS Secrets Manager. So the right answer here is option B, Amazon Mackie. To help you manage the security posture of your organization's Amazon Simple Storage Service data estate, Mackie provides you with an inventory of your S3 bucket and automatically evaluates and monitors the buckets for security and access control. If Mackie detects a potential issue with the security or privacy of your data, such as a bucket that becomes publicly accessible, Mackie generates a finding for you to review and remediate as necessary. Question number 323. Which of the following is a component of the AWS global infrastructure? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Alexa. Option B, AWS regions. Option C, Amazon Lightsail. And option D, AWS organizations. So the right answer here is option B, AWS regions. The AWS cloud spans 99 availability zones within 31 geographic regions around the world, with announced plans for 12 more availability zones and 4 more AWS regions in Canada, Israel, New Zealand, and Thailand. Question number 329. Which of the following is a method for enhancing AWS security? Select. And we have 5 options. Option A, using AWS Artifact. Option B, granting the broadest permission to all IAM roles. Option C, running application code with AWS Cloud9. Option D, enabling multi-factor authentication MFA with Amazon Cognito. Option E, using AWS Trusted Advisor security checks. So the right answer is option D, enabling multi-factor authentication MFA with Amazon Cognito. And option E, using AWS Trusted Advisor security checks. MFA adds extra security because it requires users to provide unique authentication from an AWS supported MFA mechanism in addition to their regular sign-in credentials when they access AWS websites or services. Virtual MFA devices, a software app that runs on a phone or other devices and emulates a physical device. Question number 336. Which of the following allows customers to programmatically access the power of AWS services? We have 4 options. Option A, AWS command line interface. Option B, AWS Trusted Advisor. Option C, AWS Code Deploy. And option D, AWS Management Console. So the right answer here is option A, AWS command line interface, AWS CLI. AWS command line interface is a unified tool to manage your AWS services. With just one tool to download and configure, you can control multiple AWS services from the command line and automate them through scripts. Question number 341. Which AWS service or functionality gives advice to customers about frequently asked billing questions? And we have 4 options. Option A, AWS Marketplace. Option B, AWS Knowledge Center. Option C, Amazon Pinpoint. And option D, Amazon Connect. So the right answer here is option B, AWS Knowledge Center. All AWS account owners have access to account and billing support free of charge. Question number 346. Which AWS service or functionality is by default highly available? We have 4 options. Option A, Amazon EC2. Option B, Amazon Aurora. Option C, NAT instances. And option D, Amazon RDS. So the the right answer here is option D, Amazon RDS. Amazon Relational Database Service supports two easy-to-use options for ensuring high availability of your relational database. For your MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and SQL Server database instances, you can use Amazon RDS multi-agent deployments. When you provision a multi-agent DB instance, Amazon RDS automatically creates a primary DB instance and synchronously replicates the data to a standby instance in a different availability zone. Question number 351. Which resources is the most effective for keeping current on AWS security announcements? We have four options. Option A, AWS Personal Health Dashboard. Option B, AWS Secret Managers. Option C, AWS Security Bulletins. Option D, Amazon Inspector. So the right answer here is option C, AWS Security Bulletins. AWS makes public notifications in the form of security bulletins, which are posted in the AWS security website. Individuals, companies, and security teams typically post their advisories on their own websites and in other forums, and when relevant, we will include links to those third-party resources in AWS Security Bulletin. Question number 356. The solution architect of a business wants to deploy a few Amazon EC2 instances in an already existing AWS account. Before the firm can accept the request, he wants a cost estimate. Which AWS tool should be used to generate the cost estimate? And we have four options. Option A, AWS Pricing Calculator. Option B, Cost Explorer. Option C, AWS Cost and Usage Report. Option D, AWS Budgets. So the right answer here is option A, AWS Pricing Calculator. AWS Pricing Calculator is a web-based planning tool that you can use to create estimates for your AWS use cases. You can use it to model your solutions before building them, explore the AWS service price points, and review the calculations behind your estimates. You can use it to help you plan how you spend, find cost-saving opportunities, and make informed decisions when using Amazon Web Services. Question number 361. While an Amazon EC2 instance is only activated when it is required, it must stay active throughout the life of the procedure. What is the most acceptable method of purchase? And we have four options. Option A, dedicated instances. Option B, spot instances. Option C, on-demand instances. And option D, reserved instances. So the right answer here is option C, on-demand instances. Question number 367. A business uses an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling policy in conjunction with an application load balancer to restore sick applications running on Amazon EC2 instances automatically. This activity pertains to which pillar of the AWS well-architected framework? And we have four options. Option A, security. Option B, performance efficiency. Option C, operational excellence, and option D, reliability. So the right answer here is option D, reliability. Question number 373. Which AWS advantage allows customers to construct cloud infrastructure that spans various geographic areas and is linked through a low latency, high performance network? And we have four options. Option A, economies of scale. Option B, security. Option C, elasticity, and option D, global reach. So the right answer here is option D, global reach. Question number 379. Which design principle is included in the operational excellence pillar of the AWS well-architected framework? And we have four options. Option A, create annotated documentation. Option B, anticipate failure. Option C, ensure performance efficiency. Option D, optimize costs. So the right answer here is option B, anticipate failure. Question number 385. What does AWS obligation under the shared responsibility paradigm entail? And we have four options. Option A, updating the network ACLs to block traffic to vulnerable ports. Option B, patching operating systems running on Amazon EC2 instances. Option C, updating the firmware on the underlying EC2 host. And option D, updating the security group rule to block traffic to the vulnerable ports. So the right answer here is option C, updating the firmware on the underlying EC2 hosts. Question number 391. Which of the following guidelines constitutes a well-architected design philosophy for cloud application development? And we have four options. Option A, keep static data closer to compute resources. Option B, provision resources for peak capacity. Option C, design for automated recovery for failure. Option D, use tightly coupled components. So the right answer here is option C, design for automated recovery for failure. Automatically recover from failure by monitoring your workload for key performance indicators. You can trigger automation when a threshold is breached. With KPIs should be a measure of business value, not of the technical aspects of the operation of the service. These allows for automatic notification and tracking of failures and for automated recovery process that work around a repair the failure. With more sophisticated automation, it's possible to anticipate and remediate failures before they occur. Question number 398. A business wants to establish templates that it may reuse when deploying numerous AWS resources. Which Amazon Web Services offerings or functionality can the business employ to achieve this requirement? And we have four options. Option A, AWS Marketplace. Option B, Amazon Machine Image. Option C, AWS CloudFormation. And option D, AWS OpsWorks. So the right answer here is option C, AWS CloudFormation. So after you have your stacks and resources set up, you can reuse your templates to replicate your infrastructure in multiple environments. So AWS CloudFormation simplifies provisioning and management on AWS. You can create templates for the service or applications architectures you want and have AWS CloudFormation use those templates for quick and reliable provision of the services or applications. You can also easily update or replicate the stacks as needed. Question number 406. Which Amazon Web Services service may be used to securely store and manage source code versions? And we have four options. Option A, AWS Code Build. Option B, AWS Code Commit. Option C, AWS Code Pipeline. And option D, AWS Code Star. So the right answer here is option B, AWS Code Commit. So AWS Code Commit is a version control service hosted by Amazon Web Services that you can use to privately store and manage assets such as documents, source code, and binary files in the cloud. Question number 413. Which AWS feature enables a business to use consumption levels across different members' accounts? And we have four options. Option A, service control policies. Option B, consolidated billing. Option C, all upfront reserved instances, and option D, AWS Cost Explorer. So the right answer here is option B, consolidated billing. Monthly consolidated invoicing and chargeback reporting. Each month you receive a single consolidated invoice for your previous month's AWS consumption across all linked accounts summarized by AWS service. Question number 414. To utilize the AWS CLI, users must produce the following. And we have four options. Option A, a password policy. Option B, an access secret key. Option C, a managed policy, or option D, an API key. So the right answer here is option B, an access secret key. To use the CLI, one must generate a managed policy. To access it, one must use the secret access key. Question number 421. Which task does AWS perform automatically? And we have four options. Option A, encrypt data that is stored in Amazon DynamoDB. Option B, patch Amazon EC2 instances. Option C, encrypt user network traffic. Option D, create TLS certificates for users' websites. So the right answer here is option A, encrypt data that is stored in Amazon DynamoDB. All users' data stored in Amazon DynamoDB is fully encrypted at rest. DynamoDB encryption at rest provides enhanced security by encrypting all your data at rest using encryption keys stored in AWS Key Management Service. Question number 431. A new application is being developed by a business that will save and retrieve millions of photographs and movies. Which AWS service or feature offers the cheapest underlying storage? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon EC2 Instant Store. Option B, Amazon Elastic Block Store. Option C, Amazon S3. And option D, Amazon Simple Queue Service. So the right answer here is option C, Amazon S3. Amazon S3 is cheapest for data storage alone. Question number 435. What expenses should be addressed when comparing the total cost of ownership of an on-premises infrastructure to a cloud architecture? And we have five options. Option A, the credit card processing fees for application transaction in the cloud. Option B, the cost of purchasing and installing server hardware in the on-premises data. Option C, the cost of administering the infrastructure including operating system and software, installation, patches, backups and recovery from failures. And option D, the cost of third-party penetration testing. And option E, the advertising cost associated with an ongoing enterprise-wide campaign. So the right answer here is option B, the cost of purchasing and installing server hardware in the on-premises data. And option C, the cost of administering the infrastructure including operating system and software installation, patches, backups and recovering from failures. Question number 442. Which AWS services or functionalities enable customers to establish a network connection between two virtual private clouds, VPCs? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, VPC endpoints. Option B, Amazon Route 53. Option C, VPC peering. Option D, AWS Direct Connect. Option E, AWS Transit Gateway. So the right answer here is option C, VPC peering. And option E, AWS Transit Gateway. Question number 450. Which AWS cloud feature enables resource supply to be matched to changing workload demands? And we have four options: security, reliability, elasticity, and high availability. So the right answer here is option C, elasticity. In AWS, the process of getting the resource dynamically when you actually require them and then release the resources when you are done and do not need them is known as elasticity. Question number 454. How does the AWS global infrastructure offer high availability and fault tolerance to its users? And we have four options. Option A, the AWS infrastructure is made up of multiple AWS regions within various availability zones located in areas that have low flood risk and are interconnected with low latency networks and in redundant power supplies. Option B, the AWS infrastructure consists of subnets containing various availability zones with multiple data centers located in the same geographic location. Option C, AWS allows users to choose AWS regions and data centers so that users can select the closest data centers in different regions. And option D, the AWS infrastructure consists of isolated AWS regions with interdependent availability zones that are connected with low latency networking and redundant power supplies. So the right answer here is option D. The AWS infrastructure consists of isolated AWS regions with interdependent availability zones that are connected with low latency networking and redundant power supplies. Question number 458. Which of the following AWS services can be utilized to efficiently deliver big volume of online video content? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, AWS Storage Gateway. Option B, Amazon S3. Option C, Amazon Elastic File System. And option D, Amazon Glacier. Option E, Amazon CloudFront. So the right answer here is option B, Amazon S3, and option E, Amazon CloudFront. So Amazon CloudFront is configured with the destination S3 bucket as the origin for global distribution of the transcoded video content. Question number 460. A user is able to set up a master payer account to view consolidated billing reports through, and we have four options. Option A, AWS budgets, Amazon Mackie, Amazon QuickSight, and option D, AWS organizations. So the right answer here is option D, AWS organizations. So AWS organizations, you can track the charges across multiple accounts and download the combined cost and usage data. Question number 468. A business has optimized its workloads by using certain AWS services in order to increase efficiency and minimize costs. Which cost management best practice does this case demonstrate? And we have four options: resource controls, cost allocation, architecture optimization, tagging enforcement. So the right answer here is option C, architecture optimization. Architecture optimization focuses on the need to continually refine workloads to be more cost cautious to create better architected systems. Question number 476. A business is contemplating migrating its on-premises data center to Amazon Web Services. What aspects should a total cost of ownership study consider? Select 2. And we have 5 options. Option A, Amazon EC2 instance availability. Option B, power consumption of the data center. Option C, labor cost to replace old servers. Option D, application developer time. Option E, database engine capacity. So the right answer here is option B, power consumption of the data center. And option C, labor cost to replace old servers. The total cost of ownership is an analysis that looks at the hidden cost beyond price and places a single value on the complete life cycle of a capital purchase. This value includes every phase of ownership, acquisition, operation, and other softer cost of change management that flows down from acquisition, such as documentation and training. Question number 484. A business wants to evaluate streaming user data and reply in real time to consumer inquiries. Which AWS service satisfies these criteria? And we have 4 options. Option A, Amazon QuickSight. Option B, Amazon Redshift. Amazon Kinesis Data Analytics. And option D, AWS Data Pipeline. So the right answer here is option C, Amazon Kinesis Data Analytics. Amazon Kinesis Data Streams is a scalable and durable real-time data streaming service that can continuously capture gigabytes of data per second from hundreds of thousands of sources. Question number 491. A business has 500 terabyte image repository that has to be moved to Amazon Web Services for processing. Which AWS service is the most cost-effective way to import this data? And we have 4 options: Amazon AWS Snowball, AWS Direct Connect, AWS VPN, Amazon S3. So the right answer here is option A, AWS Snowball. Snowball is a petabyte scale data transport solution that uses secure appliances to transfer large amounts of data into and out of the AWS cloud. Using Snowball addresses common challenges with large scale data transfers, including high network cost, long transfer times, and security concerns. Question number 499. What is the function of a VPC Internet Gateway? And we have 4 options. Option A, to create a VPN connection to the VPC. Option B, to allow communication between the VPC and the Internet. Option C, to impose bandwidth constraints on Internet traffic. Option D, to load balance traffic from the Internet across Amazon EC2 instances. So the right answer here is option B, to allow communication between the VPC and the Internet. An Internet gateway is a horizontally scaled, redundant, and highly available VPC component that allow communication between your VPC and the Internet. Question number 507. To prevent fraudulent compute activity, a user needs a simple method to detect whether any Amazon EC2 instance have limited access to their ports. Which Amazon Web Services offering will meet this requirement? And we have 4 options. Option A, VPC flow logs. Option B, AWS WAF. Option C, AWS Cloud Trial. Option D, AWS Trusted Advisor. So the right answer here is option D, AWS Trusted Advisor. AWS Trusted Advisor checks security groups for rules that allow unrestricted access to specific ports. Unrestricted access increase opportunities for malicious activities. The ports with highest risk are flagged red and those with less risk are flagged yellow. Ports flagged green are typically used by applications that require unrestricted access such as HTTP and SMTP. Question number 512. Which AWS feature is exemplified by on-demand technology services that allow businesses to substitute variable expenditures for upfront fixed expenses? And we have four options: high availability, economy of scale, pay-as-you-go pricing, global reach. So the right answer here is option C, pay-as-you-go pricing. Trade fixed expenses for variable expense. Instead of having to invest heavily in data centers and servers before you know how you are going to use them, you can pay only when you consume computing resources and pay only for how much you consume. Question number 517. A business operates an e-commerce application that is hosted in Europe to reduce latency for international customers accessing the website. The firm would want to cache frequently viewed static information closer to the consumers. Which Amazon Web Service offering will meet this requirement? We have four options: Amazon Elastic Cache, Amazon CloudFront, Amazon Elastic File System, Amazon Elastic Block Store. So the right answer here is option B, Amazon CloudFront. Amazon CloudFront employs a global network of edge locations and regional edge caches that cache copies of your content close to your viewers. Amazon CloudFront ensures that end user requests are served by the closest edge location. As a result, viewers' requests travel a short distance, improving performance of your viewers. For files not cached at the edge location and the regional edge caches, Amazon CloudFront keeps persistent connections with your origin servers so that those files can be fetched from the origin servers as quickly as possible. Question number 523. Which Amazon Web Services service makes use of edge locations? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Aurora. Option B, AWS Global Accelerator. Option C, Amazon Connect. Option D, AWS Outposts. So the right answer here is option B, AWS Global Accelerator. AWS Global Accelerator and Amazon CloudFront are separate services that use the AWS global network and its edge locations around the world. Question number 528. A company needs an automated security assessment report that will identify unintended network access to Amazon EC2 instances. The report also must identify operating system vulnerabilities on those instances. Which AWS service or a feature should the company use to meet this requirement? And we have four options: AWS Trusted Advisor, Security Groups, Amazon Mackie, Amazon Inspector. So the right answer here is option D, Amazon Inspector. Amazon Inspector is an automated vulnerabilities management service that continually scans AWS workloads for software vulnerabilities and unintended network exposure. 533. A global company is building a simple time tracking mobile app. The app needs to operate globally and must store collected data in a database. Data must be accessible from the AWS region that is closest to the user. What should the company do to meet these data storage requirements with the least amount of operational overhead? And we have four options. Option A, use Amazon EC2 in multiple regions to host separate databases. Option B, use Amazon RDS cross-region replication. Option C, use Amazon DynamoDB global tables. And option D, use AWS database migration service. So the right answer here is option C, use Amazon DynamoDB global tables. Global tables built on the global Amazon DynamoDB footprint to provide you with a fully managed multi-region and multi-active database that delivers fast local read and write performance for massively scaled global applications. Global tables replicate your DynamoDB tables automatically across your choice of AWS regions. Question number 538. Which VPC component adds an additional layer of protection to the subnet? And we have four options. Option A, security groups. Option B, network ACLs. Option C, NAT gateways. And option D, route tables. So the right answer here is option B, network ACLs. Access control list ACLs are network traffic filters that can control incoming or outgoing traffic. ACLs work on a set of rules that define how to forward or block a packet at the router's interface. An ACL is the same as stateless firewall, which only restricts, blocks, or allows the packets that are flowing from source to destination. Question number 543. Which AWS service tracks API calls and user activity? And we have four options: AWS Organization, AWS Config, Amazon CloudWatch, AWS Cloud Trial. So the right answer is option D, AWS Cloud Trial. So AWS Cloud Trial enables auditing, security monitoring, and operational troubleshooting by tracking user activity and API usage. CloudTrail logs continuously monitor and retain account activity related to actions across your AWS infrastructure, giving you control over storage, analysis, and remediation actions. Question number 548. Which AWS cloud feature will enable a multinational corporation to meet its demand for low latency to all its customers? And we have four options. Option A, fault tolerance. Option B, global reach. Option C, pay-as-you-go pricing. And option D, high availability. The right answer here is option B, global reach. Question number 550. Which principles are used while architecting apps for AWS cloud reliability? Select two. And we have five options. Option A, design for automated failure recovery. Option B, use multiple availability zones. Option C, manage changes via documented processes. Option D, test for moderate demand to ensure reliability. Option E, backup recovery to an on-premises environment. So the right answer here is option A, design for automated failure recovery, and option B, use multiple availability zone. The reliability pillar encompasses the ability of a workload to perform its intended function correctly and consistently when it's expected to. These includes the ability to operate and test the workload through its total life cycle. There are 5 design principles for reliability in the cloud: automatically recover from failure, test recovery procedures, scale horizontally to increase aggregate workload availability, stop guessing capacity, manage change in automation. Question number 552. AWS is responsible for which of the following security related elements of hosting an Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud instance? Amazon EC2. And we have 4 options. Option A, security of private keys. Option B, hypervisor software updates. Option C, security updates to software running on the instance. Option D, policies controlling instance access. So the right answer here is option B, hypervisor software updates. Question number 556. A corporation is developing a mobile application to give its clients with shopping suggestions. The business intends to include a graph database into the shopping recommendation engine. Which Amazon Web Service database service should the business use? We have 4 options. Option A, Amazon DynamoDB. Option B, Amazon Aurora. Option C, Amazon Neptune. And option D, Amazon DocumentDB with MongoDB compatibility. So the right answer here is option C, Amazon Neptune. So Amazon Neptune is a fast, reliable, fully managed graph database service that makes it easy to build and run applications. Question number 561. Which of the following are shared controls that apply to both AWS and customer according to the AWS shared responsibility model? Choose 2. And we have 5 options. Option A, resource configuration management. Option B, network data integrity. Option C, employee awareness and training. Option D, physical and environmental security. Option E, replacement and disposal of disk drives. So the right answer here is option A, resource configuration management. And option C, employee awareness and training. So controls which apply to both the infrastructure layer and customer layers, but in completely separate constants or perspectives. In a shared control, AWS provides the requirements for the infrastructure and the customer must provide their own control implementation within their use of AWS services. Examples include: in patch management, AWS is responsible for patching and fixing flaws within the infrastructure, but customers are responsible for patching their guest OS and applications. In configuration management, AWS maintains the configuration of its infrastructure devices, but a customer is responsible for configuring their own guest operating system, databases, and applications. And awareness and training, AWS trains AWS employees, but a customer must train their own employees. Question number 562. Which AWS service or feature gives information about planned events that are now occurring or may occur in the near future and may impact an AWS account? We have 4 options: AWS Config, AWS Systems Manager, AWS Health, Personal Health Dashboard, and AWS Trusted Advisor. So the right answer here is option C, AWS Personal Health Dashboard. So AWS Personal Health Dashboard provides alerts and guidance for AWS events that might affect your environment. While the Service Health Dashboard shows the general status of AWS service, the Personal Health Dashboard provides proactive and transparent notifications about your specific AWS environment. Question number 568. Which AWS service or feature can help to improve network security by restricting a request for a web application hosted on AWS from a certain network? Select 2. And we have 5 options: AWS WAF, AWS Trusted Advisor, AWS Direct Connect, or AWS Organizations, and Network ACLs. So the right answer here is option A, AWS WAF. And option E, Network ACLs. So AWS WAF is a web application firewall that helps protect your web application or API against common web exploits and bots that may affect availability, compromise security, or consume excessive resources. A network access control list ACL is an optional layer of security for your VPC that acts as a firewall for controlling traffic in and out of one or more subnets. Question number 574. A cloud practitioner requires a dedicated link between AWS resources and an on-premises system that is constant and devoted. Which AWS service satisfies these criteria? And we have 4 options. Option A, AWS Direct Connect, AWS VPN, Amazon Connect, or AWS Data Pipeline. So the right answer here is option A, AWS Direct Connect. So you can use AWS Direct Connect to establish a private virtual interface from your on-premises network directly to your VPC, Amazon VPC, providing you with a private, high bandwidth network connection between your network and your VPC. With multiple virtual interfaces, you can even establish private connectivity to multiple VPCs while maintaining network isolation. Question number 580. AWS provides which of the following security related services? Select 2. And we have 5 options. Option A, multi-factor authentication, physical tokens. Option B, AWS Trusted Advisor security checks. Option C, data encryption. Option D, automated penetration testing. Option E, Amazon S3 copyrighted content detection. So the right answer is option B, AWS Trusted Advisor security checks. And option C, data encryption. Question number 586. Which AWS service is used to host static websites? And we have 4 options. Option A, Amazon S3. Option B, Amazon Elastic Block Store. Option C, AWS Cloud Formation. Option D, Amazon Elastic File System. So the right answer here is option A, Amazon S3. Amazon S3 is a cloud storage service offered by Amazon Web Services that allows users to store and retrieve data from anywhere on the internet. One of the features of S3 is the ability to host static websites, which are websites that consist of fixed HTML pages and other assets, such as images, style sheets, and JavaScript files. Question number 592. A company wants to forecast future costs and usage of AWS resources based on past consumption. Which AWS service or tool will provide these forecasts? And we have four options. Option A, AWS cost and usage report. Option B, Amazon forecast. Option C, AWS pricing calculator. Option D, cost explorer. So the right answer is option D, cost explorer. Question number 596. A company wants to add facial identification to its user verification process on an application. Which AWS service should the company use to meet this requirement? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon Poly. Option B, Amazon Transcribe. Option C, Amazon Lex. Option D, Amazon Recognition. So the right answer here is option D, Amazon Recognition. Amazon Recognition can store information about detected faces in server-side containers known as collections. You can use the facial information that's stored in a collection to search for known faces in images, stored videos, and streaming videos. Question number 598. Which AWS service monitors CPU utilization on Amazon EC2 instances? And we have four options. Option A, AWS CloudTrail. Option B, Amazon Inspector. Option C, AWS Config. Option D, Amazon CloudWatch. So the right answer here is option D, Amazon CloudWatch. You can monitor the CPU usage and disk reads and writes of your Amazon EC2 instances and then use that data to determine whether you should launch additional instances to handle increased load. You can also use this data to stop underused instances to save money. With CloudWatch, you gain system-wide visibility into resource utilization, application performance, and operational health. Question number 600. A company wants its employees to have access to virtual desktop infrastructure to securely access company-provided desktops through the employee's personal devices. Which AWS service should the company use to meet these requirements? And we have four options. Option A, Amazon AppStream. Option B, AWS AppSync. Option C, Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. Option D, Amazon Workspaces. So the right answer here is option D, Amazon Workspaces. Amazon Workspaces provide a secure, managed desktop as a service to your end users.
Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, we'd love for you to join our growing community. Just hit that subscribe button. Want a downloadable PDF of these questions and answers? You can grab it from our website, www.shapingpixel.com. Full link is in the description below. Happy learning!